Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are diving into an incredibly powerful, timeless framework for emotional resilience, and we're going to do it by unpacking an ancient parable about a pretty remarkable farmer. It's one of those stories that completely flips the script on how we react to life's chaos, and honestly, it might just rewire how you look at your own daily challenges. So think about this for a second. How many times have you looked at a situation, slapped the label disaster on it, only to realize later it was actually a massive hidden blessing? The reality is, we are rarely wise enough to judge life in the exact moment it's happening. What feels like an absolutely devastating, world-ending loss today, well, it might literally just be prepping us for something so much better tomorrow. The problem is, most of us just don't have the patience to stick around and find out. Section 1, The Art of Patience. A village, a farmer, and a prize horse. To really grasp this, we need to picture a small village, tucked away in the lush Harvey Hills of India. And right away, you see this massive, stark contrast in the community. On one side, you have the villagers. They're frantic, measuring their worth by what they own, and they are so quick to gossip and judge every little thing. But then, on the other side, you have our farmer. He lived in a simple mud house, owns very little, but he does have this incredibly handsome, strong prize horse he raised from a colt. But here's the kicker. His identity isn't tied to it at all. He just works hard and accepts whatever life throws his way with this quiet, totally unshakable peace. See, whenever the village would go into full-blown panic mode over a dry season or completely lose their minds celebrating a big harvest, the farmer would just step back and anchor himself with this one thought. Who knows what is good and what is bad? Only time will tell. He firmly believed that everything happens for a reason, and you just need to be patient, be thankful, and keep your faith strong. He completely refused to jump to conclusions. And guys, this mindset gets put to the absolute test right away. A wealthy traveling merchant rolls through, spots this magnificent prize horse, and offers the farmer a massive sack of gold coins. We're talking enough money to feed his family for years. But the farmer politely says no. He tells the merchant, hey, this horse isn't just an animal. He's part of the family, and he's not for sale. Now, as you can probably guess, the villagers thought he was out of his mind. They're gossiping, saying he's going to be poor forever, throwing away a fortune. But the farmer, he just tunes out the noise and heads back to work in his field. Section 2, A Cycle of Fortune, The Twists of Fate. Well, almost immediately after turning down that life-changing bag of gold, the farmer's quiet life gets thrown into total chaos. Day 1, he refuses the gold. A few days later, boom, the beloved prize horse completely disappears from the stable, gone without a trace. But then, hang on, about a week later, the horse actually comes back. And it doesn't come back alone. It brings 5 magnificent, totally untamed wild horses right into the farmer's stable. Talk about a roller coaster, right? The villagers were completely baffled by this chain of events. Let's actually look at how everyone reacted to this wild week. When the horse first vanished, the villagers were all over it. They basically hit him with a giant "we told you so," calling it a terrible loss and saying he should have just taken the merchant's gold. But the farmer, he sat down with his heartbroken son and said, look, don't be so quick to call this a disaster. Only time can reveal the true nature of what happens. He just refused to label an empty stable as the end of the world. And here is the real genius of the farmer. When the horse returned with 5 wild companions, bringing sudden, massive wealth to the family, the exact same dynamic played out, just in reverse. The village is buzzing, shouting from the rooftops that he's the luckiest man alive. But the farmer, still totally unfazed. He turns to his son and says, do not celebrate too soon, my son. Let us not judge this moment either. He completely refused to get swept up in the hype. Moving on to Section 3, The Hidden Blessing. Tragedy strikes the village. And, we quickly see exactly why the farmer was so cautious about celebrating. Eager to train these new wild stallions, the farmer's strong young son gets on one of them and is violently thrown to the ground. He breaks his right leg in 2 places, an injury so bad it leaves him with a permanent limp. Instantly, the village gossip machine fires right back up. The same people who just called the farmer the luckiest man alive are now whispering that his greed caused this horrible tragedy. You can imagine the son lying there in total agony, probably wondering if he's somehow cursed. But the farmer just calmly sits beside him and drops this incredible perspective. He tells him, the same rain that floods the valley nourishes the forest, my son. Do not judge this moment either. He's basically saying what looks like destruction could be feeding something else entirely. Even through this awful pain, he urges him to just wait. Well, just 2 weeks later, the number 23 becomes the most devastating number in the village. Drums and trumpets echo through the streets as the king's soldiers march in. A brutal border war has broken out, and every single able-bodied young man is drafted immediately. No exceptions. They took 23 young men from that peaceful little village. And the outcome of this draft was just heartbreaking. Fast forward a bit, and the war took a massive toll. Out of the 23 young men drafted, 14 tragically perished on the battlefield. only 9 made it back home. But one young man from the village was spared from the draft entirely. When the soldiers had come to the farmer's door and saw the son lying there with a shattered leg in splints, they just moved right along. That agonizing permanent injury was literally the only reason his life was saved, while so many others were lost.
Section 4. 3 Pillars of Wisdom. Extracting the lessons.
All right, let's zoom out a bit and see what we can actually take away from this. Look at the pattern of this farmer's life. He suffers a loss when the beloved horse disappears. Then a massive gain when it returns with 5 more. Then a tragic loss when the son breaks his leg, which leads directly to the ultimate gain, his son's life being spared from a deadly war. It proves that life does not move in a straight line, right? It zigs, it zags. What feels like a flood today might literally be watering the fields of tomorrow. So, the farmer's quiet strength actually gives us 3 incredibly practical pillars for our own lives. First, stop judging every moment. You have to give life time to reveal the full picture. Second, trust the process. Just because you're on an unseen road doesn't mean it leads nowhere, right? And third, stay steady. This is huge. You have to be humble during the good times and stay hopeful during the bad times. Keep your balance. Because at the end of the day, balance is the absolute key to inner peace. Life is absolutely going to test you. It's going to hit you with sudden losses, and it's going to surprise you with unexpected gains. The secret is to not let either one of those extremes control you. You have to remember that the complete picture is always, always larger than the tiny little zoomed-in piece you're experiencing right now. And that brings us to Section 5, Trusting the Process, applying the farmer's wisdom today. Now, you definitely don't need to be an ancient farmer in the hills of India to use this. Let's look at some modern disasters. Maybe it's losing a job out of nowhere, completely bombing a crucial exam, going through an absolutely gut-wrenching breakup, or facing a sudden financial hit. In that exact moment, it feels like the sky is falling. But think about it. I'm willing to bet that weeks, months, or maybe years later, you looked back and realized that very setback actually pushed you toward a much better career or a far healthier relationship. Honestly, we put ourselves through so much unnecessary panic because we forget this very simple truth. Life is not a single chapter, it is a whole book. And no one can judge a book by reading just one page. We read one terrible page, we declare the whole story a tragedy, and we completely forget that the plot is still unfolding. So, the next time a sudden shock hits your life, whether it's an unexpected win or a painful loss, just take a breath. Remember the farmer's advice. Don't celebrate too soon and don't grieve too early. Wait until the evening to see how splendid the day has been. Just give it time. Time is the only thing that will eventually reveal the truth of the situation. I want to leave you with a question to really chew on. Looking back at your own timeline, what is a terrible moment from your past that actually turned out to be your greatest blessing in disguise? Recognizing those hidden blessings proves that if we can just stay patient, stay grounded, and stay grateful, the wild twists and turns of life really do make sense in the end.